Approaching the dissertation with the right mindset not only enhances the writing process, but also ensures a more rewarding and successful dissertation experience. Your mindset directly impacts your motivation, productivity, the ability to overcome challenges, and ultimately the quality of the work. In my experience as a supervisor, there are many mindsets that influence dissertation success. As someone with a deep interest in psychology, besides supporting students around developing research skills, I often bring up issues related to mindset. I do this because the dissertation is also an opportunity to learn more about yourself and how well you deal with challenging tasks. As you learn more about how to deal with a complex task like a dissertation, it's also an opportunity to work on your mindsets. In this video, we'll explore two common mindsets I come across: the perfectionism and the not good enough mindsets. I will explain what these mindsets are about, what are the main emotions associated to them, some of the behavioral signs you should monitor to check if you've got them, and some strategies you can use to deal with perfectionism and the not good enough mindsets so that you enjoy the process more and in the end write a better dissertation. This video is part of a larger series of videos featured in the Virtual Tutor Online resource, where I explore these two mindsets in more detail, including providing a more complete list of behavioral signs and strategies, as well as other mindset-related issues. Let's start with perfectionism. The perfectionist mindset is often a major barrier to doing well in the dissertation. From my experience as a supervisor of more than 200 dissertations and theses, I estimate that half the students have this mindset. What is this mindset about? Basically, this mindset relates to your unconscious, and more specifically to unconscious limiting beliefs such as everything I do has to be perfect and I am perfect. The issue of this mindset is that it centers around the idea that things need to be done perfectly or not at all. It's characterized by an intense drive to achieve flawless results, as well as a fear of making mistakes and failing. This mindset is not specific to the dissertation. It's usually a psychological trait of the student, but also extends to it, and more so because the dissertation is usually such an important part of the degree, and therefore the perfectionist mindset kicks in more intensely. The problem with this mindset is that perfection does not exist. It's like chasing the rainbow. Let's assume this is the benchmark, what you're trying to achieve, in this instance, perfection, and this is your performance. And sometimes your performance is better, sometimes your performance is less good. Whatever your performance, it never gets close to perfection because, after all, perfection does not exist. And this gap brings a problem, and the problem is emotional. It creates negative emotions. To start with, it will create frustration. When do you feel frustrated? It's when you cannot achieve your objective. So if you have an objective that is always unattainable, perfection, you are always going to be frustrated. But perfectionism also brings other emotions. It brings anxiety. Anxiety happens when we believe we don't have the skills to tackle the challenge. And because the challenge is so high, we naturally are going to believe that we don't have the skills to tackle it. You will feel upset, you will feel angry, and you will feel fear, in this instance, fear of failure. And these emotions are very paralyzing. They are detrimental to your progress, and therefore it's important that you learn how to deal with the perfectionist mindset. There are many behavioral signs of perfectionism, and in this video I'm going to focus on two. The first one is that you will start several times, and you will start several times your dissertation, selecting a topic. You will start several times maybe your questionnaire or interview brief. You will start several times your conclusion. You will start several times each of the parts contained in a dissertation. And you will do so because you start very excited, but eventually you will realize that it won't be perfect, and therefore you don't want to feel those emotions that I explained, and you will have another go. You will try again, this time expecting it to be perfect. But it's never perfect, and therefore this is a cycle that some students do find difficult to exit. And I've had to intervene several times with students saying, you are going to work with this topic because it is good enough. The second behavioral sign is on and off engagement. And again, this is part of the cycle of a lot of excitement to start with, because unconsciously you assume that you may well be able to achieve perfection, but then it turns to disinterest as it is shown that it won't be perfect. So what can you do to manage your perfectionist mindset? The first one is to acknowledge that you have the perfectionist mindset. It is very important that you become conscious of this unconscious influence and how it might be affecting you. This will go a long way as you will understand what is going on when one or more of the behavioral signs of perfectionism becomes evident. The second strategy you can adopt is to set realistic goals and expectations. This involves trying to consciously cope with the idea that it is not going to be perfect. Instead, focus on good enough. I just need to do something that is good enough rather than perfect. You can also celebrate, and I would say you should celebrate, each small achievement you reach along the way, and don't be too hard on yourself if you don't achieve everything at once. These strategies can help you to focus on progress rather than perfection. If you like my way of explaining things, check in the description below how you can engage with me in a more direct way. I am available for one-to-one and small group supervision. The second mindset in this video is a low confidence or the I am not good enough mindset. I've seen many students struggle with their confidence when it comes to doing well in the dissertation, and this often comes from this underlying mindset. What is this mindset about? The I am not good enough mindset is a belief that one's qualities are not good enough to complete the task well. It's linked to self-esteem. Self-esteem is how well you regard yourself. And it's also linked to the imposter syndrome, which is the feeling that we are not as good as other people think we are, and that eventually we will be found out. I often come across this mindset in students who do not believe they are very academic. What's more, this mindset can actually come together with a perfectionist mindset, which then becomes a very challenging combination. Because on one hand, you have the pressure to be perfect, but on the other, you believe that you're not good enough. If you believe that you're not good enough, how can you achieve perfection, which, as we know, doesn't exist? So it creates very opposing forces that bring up deep emotional challenges. And talking about emotions, what are the emotions related to the I am not good enough mindset? The first one is anxiety. If you believe that you're not good enough, you are going to believe that your skills are not very high. And that's one of the preconditions for anxiety. Anxiety, as I briefly explained earlier, comes from a gap between your perceived skills and the perceived challenge. If you perceive that your skills are not very high, then the gap is going to be high, and therefore you're going to feel anxious. But it can also bring fear. In this instance, fear of failure, because you believe that you are not good enough, you don't have what it takes to do well in the dissertation, and that brings up this fear of failing. There are also many behavioral signs that will mean you will have this mindset. The first one is procrastination. And students may procrastinate or avoid working in the dissertation altogether due to feelings of inadequacy and fear of failure. And because you believe that you're not good enough, you will also believe your work will not be good enough. As a result, deadlines can be missed, or your work may not be completed to the best of your ability, affecting the grade. The second behavioral sign is avoiding feedback. You may avoid seeking out feedback on your work or sharing your writing with others due to fear of criticism or negative evaluation. And you may feel that negative feedback would confirm your beliefs that you are not capable of producing quality work. So you avoid opportunities for feedback altogether. What signs, if any, have you recognized in yourself, and how are they affecting your progress? Let me know in the comments. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to press the like button. If you feel that you have the not good enough mindset, what can you do? The first action you can take is challenge negative self-talk. When you notice negative self-talk, question the validity of these thoughts and try to replace them with more positive and rational self-talk. For example, try to challenge them by telling yourself that you are good enough. It is perfectly reasonable not to get things right the first time. It still happens to me all the time, but I know that if I put the effort in, I know I can do it. A second approach to managing the I am not good enough mindset is to focus on the process, not the outcome. This means that you should try to focus on the process of research and learning rather than being overly concerned with the outcome. Because when the process is done well, the outcome is more likely to exceed your expectations. Talking about expectations, it's also important to set the expectation not as an absolute expectation, but in relation to where you start. Think about where you started in terms of the skills that you had at the beginning and how much you've learned and progressed since then. If you want to know more about dissertation mindsets, check out this video on emotional intelligence, and YouTube thinks you will like this video.